Hello, everyone. Welcome to Quantum Catechesis. I'm Father Joe Krupp, and you are not. And today is Thursday, May something or other, and I'm fairly confident it's 2022. Today, as I told you yesterday, I am so excited to have one of my favorite human beings on the whole planet, and I'm even going to get gooey, so I'm just going to stop that part and instead tell you that today's show is going to be awesome. Tomorrow's show is going to stink, but at least it'll be here. And I'll do my usual question and answer session. And so let's get those puppies ready. I'm also going to encourage you to get some questions together for our guest today. And so here we go. When I was 13 years old, my mom and dad took me to Adrian, Michigan with a group of kids, and we stayed at different homes. And it was that day I met the man who is now my best friend, and the best friend I've ever had. And you've heard me talk about him a lot, and usually because he's awful, but he's here. So this is when I say nice things. We've been friends since 13 years old. I've been a priest. He's a priest. I've been a priest longer because I'm a better person. And so without further ado, as they say in Germany, let's welcome Father Geoff Rose. Calm down, everyone. Calm down. Stop it.
Our time is limited.
So, brother, how are you?
I'm great.
Oh,
it's so great to be here.
Yeah. So Father Geoff Rose and I, again, we've been friends since we were little, and Jeff always says this. We used to say, well, we got older. How do we say it? We
would say that we grew up together.
Yeah.
But there hasn't been a lot of growing up, so we've gotten older together. Yeah.
Jeff still thinks farts are funny. That's what this comes down to. And I, of course, find that very childish. But we're both priests. He's a better priest, but I'm much prettier. And so let's see. Let's talk people through. So 13, right? Yeah. It was me and Mark Roval.
That's right.
And we stayed at your house with your mom, and we were all in love with your mom.
Yeah.
Every boy my age was in love with Jeff's mom. It wasn't fair. The problem is his dad was a very large man. So we just called him Mr. Rose.
Mr. Rose.
And then, my gosh, you stayed with us a lot when you were in high school with my mom and dad. And your dad died, I think, a year after I met him.
That's right. That's
1984?
Right. Yep, I was 14. We were about the same age, yeah.
And so then so high school, you went to Adrian High School. And then after that, let's talk people through.
Yeah, I went.
You had a cool life.
I've had an interesting life. I went to Eastern Michigan for undergrad, and I went there to be a teacher. I was going to go back and replace my favorite teacher at Adrian High School, and just paused to back up. In high school, Joe and I had both kind of talked about, maybe God's calling us to be a priest. That was something that we talked about as friends. Just that
you were the first person I told.
Yeah, again, it's just not the kind of thing you talk about a lot in high school. Just whatever. Anyway. I go to college, and I just, like a lot of people, wasn't going to church much. Nothing doctrinal or orthodoxical, if that's a word. It was just doing other things, busy. And I really got into student government and campaigns and elections and politics. And so I was student body vice president, student body president, became a city councilman in Ypsilanti, and was the deputy mayor for a term. And all that before I was 22.
Yeah, you were the youngest deputy mayor,
I believe in the history of the country, certainly in the state of Michigan.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
So, well, actually, Hillsdale, I think, elected an 18-year-old kid mayor at one point, so good for him.
Jerks.
But anyway, I then was working for a member of Congress, and I started going back to church when a mutual friend of ours, his fiancée, died of complications of juvenile diabetes. And I played guitar at her funeral. And it was just asked to do that. And there was a priest that did that funeral, which is funny because Kim, the deceased, wasn't Catholic. But you just talk about how God works in your life. And he, at the graveside, just said, hey, he saw a lot of young people there. He just said, you've all said Kim was a great gift in your life. I wonder what gift you give back to God in thanksgiving for Kim. And he just said, with the perfect amount of conviction and love, and for you Catholics here, I ask you to come back to church. And this was a Thursday. It was a Pauline conversion moment in my life. It just hit me between the eyes because I wasn't not going for any deep reason, just other things. So that was Thursday. I went down Sunday, just walked. It was right down the street, the closest parish. And, Mass, quickly got into playing music with the choir and those groups and helping with youth group. And that led to a discussion about what life's about. And it was a friend I've had since high school. We were actually sitting at a bar and we're just talking about life. And he said, Jeff, I think your life is service, but I don't think it's public service. He said, the church was always so big in your life in high school, and he's like, maybe that's where you should be putting your effort. And so that led to discussion with the Oblates, and I know as we were talking, that what I love about priesthood and religious life is advocacy. That if you've never seen the connection between politics and priesthood, to me it's advocacy. In government, I wanted to advocate for people. And so even though I wasn't going to church, at the core of my marrow was still Matthew 25. Are we taking care of those on the margins? And so as I transitioned into religious life, the opportunity to work in education and foreign missions are huge to me.
And now, if I may,
sure.
You're president of Silesian High School, although you don't call it that, right? You guys call it St. Francis.
St. Francis de Sales School, yeah.
I've always called it Silesian, just because, and it's so dumb, because I'm accurate, but not really.
Yeah, well, we used to have a high school in Detroit called Silesian. Yeah.
Really? I wonder if that's where I got it.
Could get stuck in your...
And by the way, as soon as you said in Detroit, do you remember... This is so bizarre. I haven't thought of this in 100 years. Do you know where I'm going?
I think so.
Where you were going to vow up. And I'm like, sweet. So I shuffled my whole mass schedule, and you said, now it's at St. Anne's. And I'm like, great. I think it was St. Anne's. I'm like,
Holy
great.
Trinity.
Holy Trinity. I'm like, great. I looked at the map because there was no GPS back then. I'm like, that's 30 minutes from me. I can be there. And so I get there. And, there's some people, but they start mass, and it's like a regular mass. I don't see Jeff. I don't see any oblates. What the hey? There's no cell phones.
Yeah.
And I forget how I eventually got a hold of you. I know a payphone was involved.
Yeah.
I was at the wrong Holy Trinity.
You were in the wrong county.
Yeah. I was in the wrong diocese. Do you remember? I just thought of that.
Yeah.
Do you remember this?
I do. I remember.
I was driving
a
little Chevette.
Yeah,
I remember that poor thing. I was trying to haul rectum to get from Detroit to, I think you were in Ypsi.
It was Ypsi, Holy Trinity Ypsi, yeah.
Did I get there?
Yes, you did. Yeah.
What a riot. But I was like, this is just a regular mass.
Yeah.
And you're in a weird spot when that's not enough for you.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, it's just this is the body of Christ. But it was like, where's my boy?
Where is it?
I was looking for your mom.
Yeah.
Anyway. That's weird. I just thought of that.
Yeah,
Did you remember that?
As soon as you said, I knew what you were going to say. Yeah.
Isn't that
That's
funny?
Yep.
Oh my gosh. So, brother, you are president of St. Francis de Sales High School in Toledo. And God's people, if you have questions for him about that, hit us. But if you don't mind, I'd like to focus a little bit on the part that blows me away, because I'm familiar with high schools.
Sure, yeah.
What I am amazed at is the amount of your life, your prayer, and your effort. And I don't know how anyone has as much energy as you, but you put into an orphanage in the Philippines and a ministry in the Philippines, which, forgive how this sounds, not just an orphanage, because that's not enough for Jeff. You openly help, what do you say, non-orphans there.
Yeah.
Bro, do you mind talking? Let's go with this. How about, can you tell us a little about the orphanage?
Yeah.
Then talk about your advocacy for the vulnerable there.
Sure.
If you don't mind.
I'm happy to. It's a real passion for me. It sure is. The Lingap Center is in Toledo City, Cebu, actually. So to be in Toledo, Ohio, and Toledo City is a neat little, I don't believe in coincidence, but anyway, the orphanage there used to be a government entity, and it was it's a long, beautiful story. Some of you know it because it's John Drake from Jackson, Michigan, who again, a Pauline conversion of his life to transform this orphanage, build a new one, and do amazing things. And I've been raising money for them for years, but when I went there, because I've been doing foreign mission where I take students to Jamaica every year, and I just believe firmly that it's never either or. We want to help at home and our brothers and sisters around the world.
Praise God.
But when I finally went to the orphanage, it so changed me that I literally could barely speak about it without crying. I had Mass. When I came back from my first trip to the Philippines at St. John's MSU, I was helping you out. And I had a little note in my homily to bunch it up, and it's like for if you ever like filled a pop too fast, and there's a point at which you realize this is going up and over. Like,
nothing
it's
I
not
can do.
there yet, but it's coming. That's how I always feel if I'm gonna cry. It's like there's a point where you can kind of keep it down, and there's a point when you go, I'm gonna lose it, and I can't stop it. And I could feel it coming, and I had to stop talking about it. I literally couldn't talk about it, and I just knew that was so much the Lord. It's just doing amazing things for those, and again, not just the 100 kids or so that are at that orphanage, but for the staff and the whole city, and the outreach to the community there is powerful. And it changed me. It absolutely changed me. And I was arrogant enough to think that I got it.
Yeah.
You know, and I just love when God kicks you over. You know, like, again, Paul sort of knocked on his keister. I love that about God. It's always suaviter et fortiter. It's gently but firmly that God, I think, reminds us we're not in charge. So,
real side note before I forget, Aunt Deb's watching. Aunt Deb DeFort. Yeah, we love you.
Debbie,
we do.
Love you.
Now, do you mind if I throw out a couple specifics? And I don't know what some of this I know is private, so I want to. One thing I love is you and I talked 4 hours at one point, and I couldn't get enough. I kept pestering you with questions because what blew me away was, let's say I'm a 20-year-old young man in the Philippines. Okay, I've got my education. I'm poor.
Yep.
I'm sharp.
Yeah.
And I'm hungry, not just physically.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. And now, let's say I decide I've got a skill, and people tell me, you know what, you're good at artwork.
Yep.
So I'm going to start a printing business, right? What is he going to run into?
Yeah, well,
are you comfortable with this?
Yeah, absolutely. Because I did one of these. You know, like many of us know Kiva, which is a microfinancing website, and that's awesome. But I've done a little bit of that for people in the Philippines and Jamaica. Because sometimes people just need a little resource to get going. And so we did help a guy get a print shop started that way. And it's been amazing because it's created jobs for other people, and it's provided products for churches, and it's done great things. But yeah, what they're going to run into is that they're not going to have the ability to borrow, you know, and some of this is true even here in the U.S., but it's just the deck is stacked a little bit steeper. Unemployment rates are, I mean, we bleed out the ears at 11%. You're talking about unemployment of, 38, 40, 45%.
Jesus have mercy.
And so, the education doesn't guarantee you an opportunity. And even if you had a little nest egg, might not guarantee you opportunity. So those are the tricky things. And I think people that have worked with missions know. A couple books have been written that have been highly critical of particularly short-term mission experience, and I think they make great points, which is you have to be careful about not creating dependency, and you have to be careful about dumping free into economies. So like we just took students to Jamaica over spring break, and people wanted to bring a bunch of like soccer cleats and this and this and this, and it's like that's cool. But you got to remember, there's a store there that's not going to sell that now because you just,
to them.
How does a business compete with free?
Yeah.
And we've seen this, the earthquake in Haiti. I mean, a lot of food was sent, and it's great that in the short term it was needed. But you got to remember what that does to an economy. So, mission work can be really tricky. And I do love the opportunity with students and young people to let them see that our hearts are broken and we want to help, but we want to make sure we help in a way that is sustainable and respectful of local custom and tradition and culture.
Well, and I think it was you who gave me the book Bad Samaritans. Was that you? Like, I'm talking 30 years ago, where when we had the big famine in Ethiopia.
Oh, right.
And beautiful-hearted Americans.
Yeah.
We sent $1 billion in food, and then the farmer starved, and the shop owner starved, because all the people who were selling the food that was, now here's a ton of free food, and there was no system of distribution, so the food that didn't make it to people just rotted on the docks. Yep. And it was the idea that if you want to transform and serve an economy, you need the principle of subsidiarity, right? That you, Geoff Rose, with your little accountable group, and I know you got them. I met a couple of these cats. So that if someone gives you, like if I say, hey, Geoff, here's $500. I want you to use it to help in the Philippines. What you're able to do then is find a guy. You're going to find a situation to plug that in, a committee with, people watching you and making sure. Oh, yeah. But that talk we had 2 years ago, where I don't know if you remember, poor you had to get water. Because I'm like, no, tell me about this, tell me about that. Because I never realized how important that subsidiarity is.
Yes.
I love you.
Yeah.
You transformed a boy's life.
Yeah.
And then he transformed a bunch of lives because you were smart. You didn't go, here's 10 grand, get after it.
Right.
No.
Yeah.
I'm
Yep.
sorry. I don't
No.
even know how to articulate it.
Yeah.
And so, if I may, you know, is there, and no pressure, folks, okay, just throwing this out there. One of the cool things I've tried to do is if I get some extra cash, give it to Geoff for this fund you have to help people in the Philippines, not necessarily for Give Me Lingap.
Right, exactly. Exactly.
But if you want to help Geoff personally, and he, again, I promise you he's accountable, okay? Help him help people there in a way that helps. Is there a way? I'm very ignorant.
I mean, people, if they just wanted to email me at rose@oblates.us, it's pretty simple.
Okay.
You know, just say, had like more information even just to talk about it. Because I think a lot of people, if you could say, that's the thing, right? Like, I'm helping, there's a foundation helping me with this, but I said to that foundation, do you know that you could pay the tuition and a living allowance for a college student for about like $1,000 I think $1,000 a semester is what it worked out to. And they were like, okay, well, we want to do 5 for a whole year. And so they made that contribution. And again, I'm able to, you know, show them along and show receipts and all that so that there's, you know, transparency and accountability.
Pretty cool. Yeah.
But that was their thing, is like, how do we move the lever or the meter? Is that the word I'm looking for? Yeah,
I think so. Yeah, move the gauge.
The
needle.
Yeah,
Move the needle.
Thank you. So that I think a lot of people say that, like, I want to help, but when you just throw money at something that's a little more tricky, and again, lots of things help. You want to give to World Vision or Catholic Relief Services, that's great. But sometimes people want a little more specific a giving opportunity. That's, you know, I mean, some of it's been college, some of that's been creating jobs, because most of you probably noticed that, I'm looking at the right camera, sorry. Most call centers are in the Philippines, right? I've been having a huge issue with these bathroom cabinets we bought. And I laugh because I recognize the accent right away. And I'm kind of ranting at them, and they're so sweet. They just keep turning you back to, you know, being kind. And at the end, I always say, you know, Daghan salamat, you know, thank you very much. And they're, oh, you know, like they know where you are. But so anyway, for like $400 or $500, you can get someone a laptop that allows them to do
call center
work. You know, and so say, okay, we're employing someone in that employment. You know, like, but a lot of people say, okay, I don't know about that opportunity. Virtual assistants. You may have a business, and you're like, man, if somebody could watch my email at night.
Yeah.
Right? And so they're on the opposite clock. There's just a lot of ways in which people could help and be helped if they wanted it, but they just don't know what those opportunities are. So,
we do have do you have a Venmo or PayPal that you're
PayPal? Yeah, is rose@oblates.us.
Okay.
Yeah, if you wanted
Rose
to do
is
something.
Geoff's last name, ROSE, just like the flower.
Yeah.
And then Oblates, OBLATES. Right. Oh, you already. I'm
Okay,
not
sure.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you wish, and he's not, you know, just if you wish, if you feel called by the Lord, I assure you, he is just a ton of integrity, and he has people smarter than both of us who help him. Okay, Geoff, we're going to need you to go easy here or focus here. So I think that would be a great way if you want to help. And you have my personal word of honor that I know he would never do it for anything except to help people and help them in a way that's healthy.
Well, thanks.
Yeah.
And even if you just want to talk about it, you
And
know,
on
like
drugs. Right? Do you think your drugs, though, are part of your ministry?
Well,
right?
of course.
That's how you stay awake.
Yeah. It's medicinal.
Medicinal,
Yes,
of
yes,
course. Okay, now we got to shift gears for a second.
Please.
This question is, what is the best?
It's not from Aunt Debbie, is it?
No,
Okay.
no. Well, yeah, she has some on here, but
Okay.
at the advice of your lawyer.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. What is the best childhood memory you can share about your friendship?
You can share. I appreciate the
Yeah,
qualification.
because there's stuff we could never. Seriously, think about it. There's stuff we could never ever say.
without having to do official formal apologies
Right.
later. Gosh, let me think
Can
about
I throw
that.
one?
You got one?
And this is in no particular order.
no, yeah.
Right? Just one of the. Okay. So, you know, we both grew up not in wealthy environments, right? And I don't think we suffered horribly,
No,
but I
no.
mean, but and in areas where I think life was hard. I think that's fair to say, particularly if I may be so candid for you, losing your pa when we were freshmen, you know, and your dad was such a good dude. Oh my gosh. And I don't know if I mentioned that your mom's beautiful. Has that come up yet?
It's come up.
Yeah, okay. Mark Roval, like every time we leave your house, he was like, I'm going to ask her out. It was like, but Mark, that's not going to work.
Right.
His dad is large, and she's married,
right.
you know. And I think there was a 40-year difference.
Yeah, there's that. It's complicated.
And our experience in church was an interesting thing. And in the end, for me, it was, I had not told a human that I was thinking about priesthood because I was so terrified of it. I didn't know what it meant.
Right.
And I was scared if I said I'm going to do it, that it meant I had to. And I was scared if I said I was going to, that the girls wouldn't talk to me. Yeah. I was scared of 500,000 things. And we were standing, I don't know if you remember, it was the front of the bus on our way back from a trip.
Yep.
And we were supposed to be doing, who knows, we were
Right.
probably doing fart noises into the mic. Some idiot gave us a mic. And I put the mic down and I looked at Geoff and I said, I'm thinking I might be a priest. Do you remember this?
Yes, I do.
And I'm going to cry.
Yeah.
That's how safe I felt. That's how loved I felt. And he told me, if I may,
Yeah.
oh my gosh, that's me too. I mean, I don't think we talked about it again for a couple years.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But it was just, I said it. I know that's not funny, and you're probably looking for some of the insane things we did, and there's a lot.
Yeah.
But to me, that's the first thing. It is. It's like, that was so big, and we just hugged each other and cried.
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
I do. And because we were having a little prayer time on that bus ride home, and I don't even call it a vision, but it was just like a pop moment in my mind.
That's right.
And I saw something like a play. It was like a arena, and I had never seen it in my life. And it was clear as day, and I could hear the like HVAC system of it, and there was a big stage, you know, those tall curtains that are always there, and there were these people coming on to the stage, and I saw Joe as a priest, like it was like priest coming out for mass, and I just shared this, and I go, I don't know what this means, but it was like through my eyes looking, and just fast forward many years, so that would have been like 87. This memory was from 87. And so you fast forward to, and we kind of lost track of each other in college. And so I see a picture of him in the Lansing Catholic newspaper as a seminarian. I'm like, oh my gosh. At that point, I was pretty serious thinking about the Oblates. And so I call him and find out he's studying in Detroit. And later that same week, I'm with my mom and stepdad. We went to see the MAC conference basketball tournament, and we're at Cobo.
Oh, shut up.
Yep.
Okay.
And as soon as we, you come in from behind and you walk into the bowl, that was what I saw in that little vision or whatever 7 years earlier. And I literally remember stepping and stopping like, this is the place.
Yeah.
And it was just weird to go, you were in Detroit, and then I experienced it that way. Like, it was just one of those, like, it didn't, like I said, it was nothing, whatever, but it's a deep memory for me of this, like, spot moment.
You know, and I think you sharing that vision is when I told you I'm thinking about priesthood. Does that sound
that could be the
true?
right chronology, yes.
Because all I remember is something prompted me to be brave.
Yeah.
Holy crap, that's right. You know, another one I got to share with them.
Okay,
My
please.
mom loved me, right? There's no doubt. She loved Geoff more. She loved Geoff more. And isn't it true? So, like, to be clear, I was born in 1970. And my folks moved us all to a house when I was 3. So from 3 years old until I moved out, I slept in the same room. Now, I shared it with 3 brothers, and then 2 brothers, and then 1 brother, and then it was mine. And it was smaller than this studio.
Yep.
Yeah. But here's the key. Geoff slept there once, and Mom began referring to it as Geoff's room. That's a true story.
This is true.
This is a true. So I would be coming home from something as a priest and be like, hey, Mom, I'm coming home. Oh, do you want to just stay in Geoff's room? Yeah, Mom, I do. I do. Do you remember that?
I do. This is
Like, Mom loved me. I want to be clear.
Yeah, absolutely.
But you were the son she wished she had. But, like, you were civilized, and you knew how to act like an adult around adults.
Yeah.
And that was always your witchcraft.
Yeah, okay.
You had that. You had that. Like, none of us, like, after 2 or 3 incidents, I was not allowed to drive buddies anywhere.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
But if Geoff comes along, oh yeah, Geoff will drive them.
yeah.
He was our age.
It's true. It's true.
I do love that.
That's a good
Are you
one.
staying in Jeff's room? Yeah, Mom.
Yes, I will.
Yeah.
That's fun.
Yeah. My gosh. Most of them, I don't know what we...
Yeah, I was trying to think of a career. I do remember once, with Youth to Youth, even though I live so far away, I would occasionally do retreats with them. We were up in Traverse City. Do you remember this? We get there that night, and we were going to do like 2-day retreats for the high school kids the next day. And the night before that, we're all sitting there, and they had one of those baptismal fonts that the water runs.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
And of course, and if you do not know this, in the Lansing Diocese, if they're having a diocesan event, we are not allowed to sit next to each other.
It's true.
It is.
To this day.
To this day, it is not allowed. And what I'm about to describe to you is partially why this is true. So we're in high school, we're seniors in high school, and so we're sitting right up front, and their youth group was presenting something, and they're doing something quiet, so we're all being quiet. And all you hear is the trickle of the baptismal font, and Joe leans over to me and says, I don't know who that guy is in the bathroom, but man, does he have to go. And of course we had an initial little giggle, but then of course as it just keeps going and we keep thinking about some old man in the bathroom, we could not get a hold of yourselves. And I believe your mother finally did grab a earlobe.
Yeah,
of it.
and we had to go. We had to go. Do you remember the funeral we were at, and we won't say who, but where a priest affected an English accent?
Yes.
So we're sitting at a funeral for someone we love, and this priest, he's like, hey, Geoff, Joe, are you guys all set for the Mass? Yeah, okay. Well, then I'll just start us off. In the name of the Father, and of the Son. And we fell out.
We were exhausted by the end of the funeral because you're just doing everything to go, what is going on
An
here?
English accent. Do you remember this?
I do.
And who was the one guy who had the presider's voice that, like, his normal voice was like this, but his presider's voice was like this? Do you remember that guy?
I do. We shall also not name him. But
Yeah. Oh, that was great. And Geoff did a perfect imitation of it for years. We'd be sitting there and he'd be like, so then I was talking to Charlie, in the name of the Father and of the Son. Do you remember?
Some guys have a presider voice, don't they? Now, I was thinking the other great miraculous story was, so I got ordained July 13th, 2002, so I'll be 20 years ordained.
Way after me.
Yeah, way. You were ordained the year I was professed, right? 98.
Yep. Yep.
So I'm ordained on Saturday, and then by that Friday, I guess it was that next Monday, we went up to World Youth Day in Toronto.
That's right, with Bill Harris.
Yep, and we ended up running a catechetical skits and music on 4 days practice because the USCCB had forgotten this particular site.
Team Geritol.
It was all the old youth to youthers, Heidi, your sister, and Dave
Amy
Schmidt,
Van Sice.
Amy Van Sice.
Yep.
So we had a blast. Anyway, I had lost a bit of weight, and I wear my dad's wedding ring as a vows ring. And we're staying on these people's back 40, just we're in tents and campers and stuff. And we were going to bed one night, and I looked at Joe and I said, I lost the ring.
That's right.
And I was like, and I have the last time I remember having it is this morning.
I forgot.
We had been all over Toronto. I mean, downtown, uptown, all around. And we had gone swimming just recently. So long story short, we checked everywhere around. And your mom was just crushed.
Oh gosh.
And I'm like, you know what? It's what can you do? So anyway, we're gonna have a quick search of this almost an acre. It was funny. I'm like, that's probably not there. And so we did a quick prayer to St. Anthony, the whole group. It's 40 young people, and we're praying whatever. And then we're gonna kind of lock arm in arm and just go through this tall grass.
Like you're looking for a dead body.
Yeah, right. Yeah, And so, but it was funny. This is why I remember it being about us. Is before we were gonna do that, you said, "Can I just talk to the young people for a second?" Because they just had a couple behavioral issues that day, and you wanted to do a loving correction. And so you took them away from where we were standing, And your mom and I were just talking, and so we're kind of just talking and watching you. And, you know, you're being very respectful and quiet. And it was Dave Schmidt, I'll never forget it, who was part of Team Geritol. He was listening in, you know, so he's not looking, he's just listening into the correction. And it's like 30 yards away, and your mom and I are talking, and I see Dave, you know, so he's looking out, and he goes...
I love that dude.
He walked 5 steps and picked it up out of the grass.
Yep.
Unflipping believable.
Yep.
Believable. And you could see his head cock.
Yep.
He leaned forward and he was on a mission. He said, you know, I'm just looking, and the sun hit it, and it kind of shined in his eye.
About. Do you know Schmitty goes here?
Awesome.
Yeah, he lives just a mile that way. When I got here, you know, I thought I literally don't know anyone at this parish except Teaser. Teaser went here.
Okay. Yep.
And then I saw Schmitty at Mass. And I'm like, what are you doing here? He goes, I live a mile away.
Nice.
Like,
nice.
Love that dude.
Yep.
Man,
good people.
That is so cool. I forgot all about that. And do you remember what cardinal was that? The LA Cardinal.
Mahoney.
Yeah.
We had Cardinal Pell and Cardinal. That was the thing. This was like a major site, and the USCCB's like, you don't understand. They were trying to get your mom to split youth into 2 groups.
Yeah.
And they were just like, we really don't want to do that. So this was the day after my first Mass. We're all sitting there having coffee, and we prayed about it. And it was like, what if like the alumni got together and just did
Team Geritol.
Yeah.
So it was all the retired members of this. We used to be in a traveling team that went all over the country and did retreats and confirmation programs and music and skits. And that's really where a lot of our stories would be.
Yeah.
You know, with some of the, you know, some of the horrible things you did while I was prayerful.
Indeed.
Yeah. So I feel like we may have satiated people's curiosity about how awful you were and how virtuous I was.
Of course.
But all this to say, you know, if you feel like the Lord's calling you to help Geoff, help people in the Philippines, his goal is not to get them a meal, you know, to use that old cliche.
Yeah.
It's to get them the means to have dinner. And to make that dinner and to make it every day. And really does some outstanding stuff. And I forgot, some of you might not be familiar, when we talk about the principle of subsidiarity, it's a Catholic social teaching that says you solve problems at the lowest level possible. So like, you know, when we talked about, I don't know if I told you about this yet. There's the Luke, help me out, sis. The Luke project. Luke project. The
Luke Project 52.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So these cats take care of expectant mums. Okay. And one of the things they ran into was people saying, well, there's a ton of government programs for them. And he was like, yep. And all of them require you to have a car.
Yeah.
Or require you to have the ability to get to a hospital that's participating in that program.
Yep.
Or have you there. Well, so, and it's like all these federal programs where we dump $1 billion into it. All it is sustaining itself. And it helps some, praise the Lord. Right? And I have no problem with waste. If it's targeted at the poor, waste away. And I mean it, because we sure as heck do it with the military. But what these guys are doing is they've got farmers. This will blow you away. This is so subsidiary. Right? This is all Flint geared. So if you're a pharmacist and you're a Christian, right? These are Lutherans and Catholics working together. They might say, can you donate Tuesday? Yeah, sure. So now you're on their bus with them with everything you need to give mom prenatal vitamins and everything.
Great.
And they do the sonogram and they do the and it is an agreement, a handshake agreement. We're gonna walk with you.
Yeah.
Right. This isn't just get you to birth.
Right.
And obviously, with the intent of them gaining independence.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah.
But that's subsidiarity.
Yeah.
Right. It's the idea of Flint will take care of Flint people. Right? Genesee County is the next step up.
Yeah.
Michigan's the next step up.
Yep.
the Midwest. I don't know.
Yeah.
So the church believes you try to solve problems at the lowest level possible. You need to have a weak central government and a strong local, which the Democrats were masters of in the 50s through 70s.
Sure. Yeah.
I don't know. Are they still? I don't know. I've been out of the game.
I don't think so, and that's part of the shame. Is I think it's so funny. I think some people just trash government at every turn. As a recovering politician, like there are things that government can do well, but that's the subsidiarity. Like I don't want the Genesee County doing U.S. mail. That's
or the
all
roads, the roads. And if you want proof of that, drive Genesee County roads.
Just that's what subsidiarity would mean. That some things need to happen at a higher level, but you want to start by going, where should this be done?
That's actually a great distinction, and I'm glad you make it, because I'm one of those. I can get so anti-government, I forget about. Like just yesterday, Dad and I were laughing our butts off. We took 21 Come Holy Spirit from Flint to Come Holy Spirit, Grand Rapids. You could tell when you changed county lines.
Yeah.
You'd have this road smooth as a baby's butt, and then that county can't do it, and then the next county can, and it was just so funny. It was like, oh my gosh, but nobody can do roads like the federal government, straight up, right? Look, oh, sorry, we have another question. Okay, can you tell us about your school in Ohio?
Absolutely. It's an all-boys school, and it's 7 to 12, and Toledo's fascinating. I was in Jackson for 12 years, and I say, however you want to look at it, I was talking with the great old football coach there, Herb Brogan, when I was going there, and I was describing it, and I said, Toledo's like a big Jackson, and he goes, or, Jackson's a small Toledo, or however you want to look at it, but they're very Catholic towns, so I always say, like Jackson, when I got there, Jackson had 4 or 5 grade schools. It's a city of 35,000, Catholic grade schools. And until 1968, it had 2 high schools. Now Toledo, with 335,000-ish, in the city, has 6 Catholic high schools. And so there are 2 all boys, 2 all girls, and 2 co-ed schools. So you have a Jesuit, and then the Oblates school. You have a Sisters of Notre Dame and a Sisters of St. Ursula. So it's just a blessing to be in a community where Catholic education is so vibrant. So, but we're 7 to 12 boys. A college prep school, and been there since 1955. And the Oblates do a lot of different ministries. Education's been one of them. Just as a fun fact, at one point we ran the largest Catholic high school in the history of the world. And that was Northeast Catholic in Philly. At its prime had over 5,000 boys.
Holy
9 to 12.
Savior.
They came in shifts. It just, and the thing is, there were 8 other schools with 3,800 and 4,200, and that was that heyday in the 50s of just that insanity. But Northeast there were 120 Oblates on the faculty at Northeast. I mean, there are 120 Oblates in my province, at this point. So
Well, and to be clear, what Father Geoff is an Oblate of St. Francis de Sales. So you'll hear him and I just say Oblates, but there's a billion kinds of Oblates.
That's true, yeah.
He's an Oblate of St. Francis de Sales, who you've heard me say is probably one of the most underrated saints we have in our arsenal, if you ask me. And someone asked me, are all Silesian schools all male?
No. But the ones we own are, so Silesianum, which would mean House of DeSales, in Wilmington, Delaware is all boys. We have DeSales University, which is co-ed. But again, we didn't own, I always put it in air quotes, we own St. Francis, but what does that mean? But Lumen Christi was started with the Oblates, like from Brick 1. But that was co-ed, and we've worked with several co-ed schools. But that's a great question. Again, having worked in both, pros and cons to both systems, I do love single-sex education, but I'm certainly not anti-co-ed education. But there's just something when girls aren't around guys, and vice versa. There's at easeness that is unique. So.
Well, at that age, it's so hard. I mean, you remember those struggly years of high school where you wanted to just talk to a girl.
Yeah.
But you really couldn't. Because there was too much hormones involved. And then the poor girls go through that stage where, well, I'm nice to this boy, so he thinks I'm interested. It's such a, I don't know if you remember, and I can't give too many details, but you were working at a Catholic school, and I was working at a Catholic school, and we would swap stories of the crap we saw, and it was so funny. Like, there was one day I was sitting in my car in the student lot where I never was, and Geoff calls me and he's like, okay, beat this one. And he told me a story, and I was like, I was about to concede. Yeah. You won. And then all of a sudden, now this was right when, like, camera phones, I had one of those Kiro Siras.
Yep.
Do you remember with the full keyboard?
Yep.
And I literally looked up, gasped, took a picture, and you couldn't text. I emailed it to you, and I said, that's what I'm looking at right now. Do you remember that picture?
I do.
It was a boy and girl thing.
Yeah.
And they were doing something that I pray for them in their backs.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, brother, how often are you able to travel to the Philippines? Do you do your work there through or with a Catholic church in particular?
Great question.
That is.
Well, with the pandemic, I was scheduled to go in May of 2020, and obviously that didn't work. So the last time I was there was November of 19. So I'm very excited to be going back the last part of June, first part of July. And so obviously the work I do with the school is job one. And so I try to go twice a year. Usually, one spring-ish summer, basically when school's out. And then I go often over the week of Thanksgiving, because it's not a holiday there. Although they'll occasionally kill a turkey for me, which is funny because it's a pathetic little bird over there. But they know that that's what we do. Anyway, so I try to get there twice a year. And then, of course, even before the pandemic, there was a lot that could be done virtually. And I do work with the local parish there a bit. They do a lot with the orphanage. And then I also work with the government a lot. My very first trip, I got to meet the deputy mayor, and we shared... kind of just that commonality of office. And my very first trip, I met the majority leader of their Senate, who, Mij Zuberi, and we stay in touch. And Mij and I had a nice conversation where he had said, as a young man, he thought about being a priest.
Okay.
And so we had kind of ended up in different worlds where, I kind of started in politics and moved to priesthood. He was looking at priesthood and he's still in the Senate, and again, a real champion of the elderly and like drug program, prescription drug programs. I'm so proud of him, and I don't never consider that a coincidence to have met those two people. So we did some feeding programs. As you may know, they had a typhoon that was really destructive right after Christmas or right around there, and so I was working with that same former deputy mayor. She's back on city council, and the current mayor to just do some immediate feeding programs, and again, get that right on the ground. Right on the ground. So
I've never asked you this, and someone has a great question that isn't this one, but I'm dying. Have you met Pecchiato? Have you ever met him?
I haven't. He was on the island of Cebu recently, and I do follow him on Facebook.
He's amazing.
So I get alerts when he goes live a lot. He's kind of fun if you're all intrigued by him. He goes live a lot. So he was in
Pecchiato.
Cebu.
You're talking about one of the best boxers. I think you got to put him in pound for pound. He was unbeatable for years, and he is a guy who put his money where his mouth is. Helping the poor, trying to give people opportunities. Didn't he get elected to public office?
I was going to say, he's a recording artist. He's written books. He was a congressman. I think he's currently a senator. He actually ran for president. They just had their election. First Tuesday.
He's
Monday
a beast.
Yeah.
So fast. Yeah. So fast. I'm not comparing him to Ali, but I mean in terms of where you see someone that strong and fast, it's insane to me.
Yeah. He's special.
He is. Okay, I love this question. Okay, and I'm hamming your question up a little bit. It's what are we in June? Is this May?
May.
Okay, so let's pretend it's November. And it's a typical day at St. Francis de Sales High School. Walk me through. You wake up in the morning and...
Good. Well, our house is attached to the school, so that's the first thing you have to know is that I never... Sometimes people say, can we meet at 7? I live here. We meet anytime you want. But it is nice in bad weather. You just walk down the hall, right? So I wake up, and we have an Oblate chapel. So the school has 2 chapels. We have a big one for the school, but the smaller one seats about 35. And so we have Mass there every morning. And students and parents can come and be a part of that.
And what time is that?
That's at 7:15.
Okay.
So that kind of kicks off the day, and then I try to greet guys as they come in the morning, and then there's usually a couple meetings right off the bat. We call it. It's funny. We call it the DAM meeting, the daily administrators meeting.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah,
I like it.
And then with COVID, it became the damn COVID meeting. But anyway, so we just all touch base. I'm very much a consensus leader as the president. I really want people that can challenge me, and I love my principal, love our CFO, and we're a great team. We work together well, and we can do that. And so we work through the day, and again, it's, the product, if you want to think of it as a business, is the guys, right? And so I know when I taught at Lumen, Father Tom Reedon of happy memory, he used his principle, make sure, get to the lunchroom, because it's where you're going to see the guys each and every day. So I try to protect that where I can. Sadly, though, a lot of what I do is more about tomorrow than today. So whether that's fundraising or strategic planning, I really see Catholic schools as a resource. So I'm meeting, like yesterday, I had 3 meetings with people outside of Catholic education to talk about what are things we can do. So one of them is public housing in Toledo. They're working with the kids that live there because they don't often interact with people outside of those neighborhoods. Yeah. And so they're looking for programming like summer baseball or things like that. So like, hey, we've got that as a camp, and so we can get kids to come to that. So that there are things that we're doing that can help anyone. Right, so we have a human performance lab, and that was sponsored by ProMedica.
Sweet.
Yeah, and so ProMedica,
they got money.
They've got money, but again, their thing is they want partnerships, and so they're looking at social determinants of health, and we know childhood obesity is a huge factor. So with our metabolic carts, we could help kids understand their metabolic burn rate. So maybe they could think about their caloric intake, right? So they don't have to own that. We do in partnership with ProMedica. So I'm meeting with the public school superintendent to say, let's get your kids in here, and we can help them understand their bodies a little better, right? So it isn't about whatever saying we all want you to come to St. Francis. I mean,
because you don't.
Well, as I say, we don't have we don't accept girls, and B, we only have 700 slots. So but it's to say we're a part of the community. I see us as an anchor institution, and I think every Catholic church and school does too. Yes. Right? That it isn't. Cardinal Gregory,
William Gregory. I think he's a card.
He once said,
he shuffles
we
when
don't
he walks.
help people because they're Catholic. We help people because we're Catholic. Yeah. So
I like that. Yeah, I think he is a cardinal.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you caught it. I just made a great joke.
I missed it.
Yeah, he's a card because he shuffles when he walks.
Do not encourage him at home, please.
So I don't know if you're picking up, guys. Like, I know I have gifts and talents, and I'm not downplaying myself. Geoff has so many gifts and talents I don't, and it's such a joy, like, to be able to, like, this is a true story. I called him to explain mortgage to me. Do you remember this? Like, in a different time, like, he has a real wonderful ability to hold a lot of data in his head and keep it sorted, which is where I struggle, right? And I have called him from day one about budgets, about personnel. He really is a wonderful leader that God gave our church. And I say our church, capital O, capital C.
Yeah.
I hope you're picking up how beautiful this dude is. One thing, we got a question about financing. And Geoff ministers in Ohio. Father Geoff, sorry. He demands. Father Geoff ministers in Ohio. We're in Michigan, so we're the only state, guys, touching the Great Lakes that doesn't have some sort of means, like a vouchers are the general term. You guys have those, right? Like, people can actually point their tax dollars to help, I don't know, their own kids. And we can't do that here. So it is a different battle for us in Michigan because we don't have, not only do we not have any help, we're not allowed to get any help, right? Whereas if you're a parent in Ohio, right, can you walk me through it? Let's say I'm a dad in Ohio. I got a 8th grade boy. I want to send him to y'all next year. How do I do this?
Well, there's a couple things. I mean, one is we have something called the Auxiliary Services Program, and Michigan does allow a version of that. But the Headley Amendment kind of makes that impossible and maybe that changes, maybe it doesn't. But so anything that has to be done. Like if it's a mandated thing, then the government will help even a Catholic school. But for us, there's something that it can't go to certainly anything religious, but it has to be of an auxiliary nature. And so it's so many dollars per kid. And so, like, you can pay for your school nurse with it. You can buy textbooks with it. Obviously, not religion class.
That.
Yeah. So you've got those kinds of funds. But we do have a voucher program that was based on whether a school was passing or failing a test. And there's been a lot of angst around what are the measuring sticks for that. And so the government's been working on making it more based on income. So to look at as a percentage of the poverty line to make that assessment. And so it does depend on where you live. The nice thing is, for the sake of the family, if you so you got an 8th grader and the government determines that your zip code or your school district meets this criteria, you would get the voucher, and they'll guarantee that for the 4 years. As of now, obviously anything could change. But so even if next year your district didn't meet that, they're not going to pull that back from you.
Right.
For those 4 years.
And one of the things Father Jeff's talking about has helped a lot of Michigan Catholic schools. And to the best of my knowledge, Lansing Catholic was the first to do it. I'm not 100% sure. I know we were certainly the first in the DOL to do it. But it was this idea. Okay, so right now we're Holy Family and we're in Grand Blanc. Next door to us is the largest public school system in the state of Michigan, right? Grand Blanc Public. Wonderful school. So the way it goes now, last I looked, I think it was, and don't quote me, every child that goes to Grand Blanc Public, the state gives Grand Blanc $12,000 and some dollars, right? It costs them $12,000 some dollars per kid to educate, right? How we doing? Now, you come over here, right across the road, costs us for elementary $5,700 to educate. And why? We don't have special ed teachers.
Right.
We don't have a lot of the stuff they do. So everybody's doing good, right? The public's not ripping people off. And they pay their teachers a just wage, whereas we try, Well, what we can do is make a deal with the public school, and it's legal. This is ethical and legal, and it's this. You can have 20 of our kids in your account in exchange for a teacher, right? So we can get a music teacher that the public school pays their salary. And then what's the benefit for the public school? Immense, because they get to count all the kids in our music program as their kids and get the check.
As an as a percentage of that,
Right.
So for each class of
do you know
fifth,
it used to be 1 for 1?
Yeah.
When we first did this at Lansing Catholic, it was 1 for 1, and then the state was like, "Hey."
Yeah.
Which totally makes sense. But you're right, it's not 1 for 1 anymore.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is. But so it's a good system. I want to be clear. And it helps everybody, and it builds beautiful relationships between publics and privates. That I experienced that not so much in Lansing, but definitely in Hudson.
Yeah.
Definitely in Adrian. Definitely in Hillsdale, and definitely here. This idea of the public superintendent, how can we help each other?
Right.
Because they're all our kids.
That's right.
Jesse, I probably should have said, but Jess. He has 1 million kids in Catholic school. Last one's graduating. Do you know Gracie graduated this Sunday? Oh my
feeling
gosh.
old.
So he has sent 9 kids through Catholic school. But there was a millage for his public school. He put a sign in his yard. Heck yeah. And he was at the gas station. He said, and someone came up, "Why are you supporting the millage? Your kids are in Catholic school." And he goes, "They're all my kids."
Right.
What the heck?
Yeah.
He says, "Odds are I'm going to need surgery when I'm old." And odds are it's going to be a public school graduate working on me statistically. I want him to get the best education.
Right. Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
Is it time for the speed round? Gosh darn, I wish we could. It feels like we just started.
I know.
Dang. Okay. So, Jeff.
Okay, I'm going to loosen up. All right.
Yeah, I'm going to encourage you. Any kind of stretching you can do. Oh, and can we talk about your clavicle?
Okay.
Wasn't that right? Didn't you snap that thing like a twig skateboarding?
Yeah, into 3 pieces.
The man was skateboarding. And this was just a couple years ago.
Yeah. About 10 now, but yeah.
No.
Yeah.
I did
it the year in fact, I broke it and then had to be the celebrant of baccalaureate at Lumen Christi. It was my last year there, so I broke it, drove myself to the ER, got slinged in a couple meds, and went back to Lumen to do baccalaureate.
Isn't that funny? He was, and that's one of the differences between us. They were like, we'll see something. We always tease each other. We are the opposite, and in many ways, and in some not so much. Yeah. But it is hilarious. Like he'll see something new, and he's like, "Oh, I want to try this." I'm like, "Why? Why are you trying something new? That's gross." Okay.
All right, bring it on.
So, Jeff, people have died during this. This is intense. This is everything.
Okay. Tom Izzo called and said, you better be ready for the speed round. So.
Well, I saw you doing reps out in the driveway. Okay, ready? Chevy or Ford?
Ford.
We got a problem already.
I know. We got a problem.
Thanks for tuning in.
All right.
No, although, now I'm in love with like the Ford Lightning and the Ford Mustang. I know everyone's going crazy for the Dodge Charger.
Yeah.
But those things get like 12 miles to the gallon.
Or 12 gallons to the mile.
Right. Ultimately, you got to confront the fact that you're driving a Dodge.
Yep.
Who does that on purpose?
I know.
All right. Text or phone call?
Wow, that's a tough one. I mean, it depends. Phone call.
Really? Okay. That's right. You like people.
I do.
Yeah. I hate people. Do you know what's funny? Oh, stop. Okay. Movie or book?
Movie.
iPhone or Android?
iPhone.
Oh, Jeff converted me to Macs.
That's right.
I've never looked back.
Yep. I've owned Apple since 1989.
Yeah.
Yep.
I remember I'd go to your house in Brooklyn, and I would be like, well, I've never used an Apple. What do I do? How do I find such and such? Well, where would you put it? Click, click. Oh, there it is.
Where should it be? That's what I would always say.
Yeah, well, that's right.
Where should it be?
And you click, you're like, oh, this is not Windows. This is actually designed to work. Like, because that was when on Windows, if you wanted to turn it off, you had to push the start button.
That's right.
Do you remember that?
I do.
You had to push the start button
To turn it off.
Yeah. And then Apple, it was kind of crazy because you went to the button that said off.
Yeah.
It could work. What was that?
Hit me.
Oh, yeah, where are we? Do you remember?
Alaska?
Oh, Alaska or Florida? I don't know what he'll say.
Alaska.
Alaska or Texas?
Alaska.
Coke or Pepsi?
Coke.
Facebook or Twitter?
Facebook.
That's right, you hate Twitter.
Twitter makes me sad. It does.
Yeah,
I love it for information, but ooh.
Well, all I miss, so I'm still kicked off.
Right. Yeah.
All I miss is baseball.
Yeah.
Like, I miss being able to go onto the Detroit Tiger Twitter feed and see, Candy hit the game-winning home run in the 10th last night. And we missed it. We thought the game was at night. And so I sat down, and we're all geeked out, and it's like, what? And then to find out Candy hit that tater made us both so happy. I love him. Oh, okay, what are we talking about? Cat or dog?
Cat.
Can I tell them about Travis?
You can.
So Jeff had a cat named after Travis Fryman, a shortstop for the Tigers. And he was gone for a bit, and I came home with him. And when he opened the door, Travis came out and looked at him. Do you remember this?
I do.
Looked at him, and Jeff was like, "Don't do it!" And the cat ran in and pooped on his bed. That was how it punished him for leaving him.
If I left for a while,
Yeah,
I'd
the
go
cat
poop
was
on
like,
the bed.
"How you doing?"
Yeah.
And made sure
Left you a
Jeff
little
saw
present,
him, ran in there, and they made the poopies. He
was
made it a poopies.
Purebred Himalayan. Yeah.
I loved that cat, though.
Beautiful
I'm
cat.
super allergic to cats. And as much as I rip on them, I actually like them. Yeah, okay. And dogs are better. MSU or some lesser school?
Mark D'Antonio and Tom Izzo have converted me. Are you kidding? I always say that to people. I grew up as a U of M fan, but I'm a huge Tom and Mark fan.
You
so,
gotta love them.
Yeah.
I don't know, I haven't met Tucker.
Yeah.
And
I hear nothing but great things.
And that's
Oh, my
the
gosh.
thing. And I've heard, maybe I shouldn't go there. Anyway, yeah. Okay. Cake or pie? I don't know your answer. I don't.
Well, of course, I don't eat sugar
You
anymore,
don't,
but
that's
yeah.
right.
But I guess I would say I was more cheesecake if you want to. Let me go third option here.
Cheesecake is a pie.
Okay.
We've had arguments about this,
Okay.
and I'm right.
All
Okay. Do you call it a lollipop or a sucker?
Sucker.
What do they do in Ohio? Same thing?
I think so.
Euchre or pinochle?
Euchre.
Hot dog or burger?
Burger.
Highways or back roads?
Highways. I know. I don't mind doing it when you're driving, but yeah, I want to get there,
Do you remember? It was the closest we've come to an argument. Do you remember this? We were in the truck, and I'm driving, poor Jeff, and we're listening to all my lectures, my history lectures.
Mm-hmm.
And you're like, do you think we could listen to music? I'm like, no.
No.
And that was as close as we've come to an actual argument. Now, I, of course, changed that, but it was hilarious.
Yeah.
I was like, why would you listen to music?
That's just because you can't hear it.
Right.
I can't. That's the, bacon or brisket?
Oh,
I know. Isn't this
that's
mean?
Now, Tom, I understand, Coach.
Yeah.
Bacon?
Briskin.
Yeah, bacon.
Bacon.
Yeah,
I
ultimately
think so.
bacon, yeah.
Because here's the thing. Brisket's some work.
It is. You're right.
Bacon ain't work.
That's right.
Bacon ain't work. I just said that. I just channeled my Montrose. Augustine or Aquinas?
Aquinas. This is one of these, yeah. We're not the same.
Pray for him.
Aristotle. I didn't know if that was coming next, because that's the same question.
Same question.
Yeah.
It is.
Plato,
Okay.
Aristotle.
Oh man, do you remember when? Who was it? I think it was Sam started wearing a T-shirt at seminary. Augustine or Aquinas is overrated, and they made him take it off. The philosophy department was so ticked. We were like, he is, you know. But then we were all kicked out. Okay, this wine or cocktail?
Cocktail.
Cocktail or beer?
Beer.
Hiking or biking?
Biking.
Pool or beach?
Now, this is the thing. Visually, I love the beach, but
Yeah.
pool if I'm getting in. I like to see
Same
the
here.
bottom.
I'm the same exact way. Like
We all saw Jaws when we were 8. We were absolutely
like,
traumatized
no, thank you.
for the
No,
rest
thank
of our
you.
life. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like I'm totally at peace with the fact that I'll die.
Yeah.
I'm kind of looking forward to it.
Yeah.
I don't want to get eaten by a shark.
Right.
I don't
Even
wanna
in
get
Lake
injured.
Michigan. I mean,
Right. You never know.
you never know.
You know, Dad and I watched, I kid you not. They were like, bull sharks can live in fresh water for a really long time.
Yeah.
And they were they attacked a hippo. They attacked, God won't attack a
Yeah,
hippo.
yeah.
And these bull sharks are like, let's do it.
Let's do it.
Now the hippo killed him.
Right. But they did it.
Yeah. Beach or mountains?
Oh, I love mountains.
You do? I was thinking of Snowmass.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah. But of
okay.
course, I lived in Bolivia for a little bit there when I was studying Spanish. I
right.
just love it. Love
Yeah, Jeff
mountains.
speaks Spanish and sign language too. Jeff does a lot of, I don't think you do as much ministry to the deaf community.
Yeah, not as much. Same with Spanish. When I was in Jackson, I was a
Sí.
little more, sí. Yo estudié español en Bolivia por 6 semanas.
Yeah.
Sí.
He just said, I bought drugs in Bolivia for 2 semesters. Where did we go? Oh, new car or classic car?
Oh, classic.
I think so too.
Yeah.
You know, we got to get you to come to in not Montrose. Where do I live now?
Grand
Blanc. Every year, I'll send you that invite.
Yeah.
There's they call it Back to the Bricks, and you know how
Oh,
downtown.
yeah. I think one of the times we came back from our week,
That's
they were just
right.
finishing it. Yeah,
That's
yeah.
right. So Dad and I last year took a case of beer and went and sat in the yard, and then all of a sudden there were 30 people there with us. It was glorious.
Oh, that sounds fun.
But bro, we saw this string of, like, to me, 66 to 69 Camaro Chevy, any Chevy.
Yeah.
In those years, it's just perfect. And we saw 4 68 Camaros right now. Like, clearly they were buddies or family or something.
Yeah.
And oy vey, I'm telling you.
Gorgeous.
We got to wrap up. Okay. So, brother, thank you so much. And if any of you are interested or feel called to help Father Jeff as he helps our family in the Philippines, I was going to go, not the Philippines, but that's the Ukraine.
That's right.
You can say the
Philippines. You can.
You can say the Ukraine. What do you got?
You have a challenge coin collection,
Yes.
and I wanted to give you the St.
That's
Francis
right.
de Sales.
Oh, shut
Where am
up.
I looking here? Which
Where
one?
is he at, sis?
There it is. Can you see it?
That's not
Yeah.
showing it.
That's all right. It's,
Jeff.
yeah, man.
Oh, yeah, because I gave you ours here.
I've got yours right here.
Oh, Jeff.
I go to.
Oh, that's not big.
Gary's pretty drunk, so it looks, yeah.
Anyway, it's the school
Bro.
seal on the front, and it has the classic quote of Francis de Sales: "Be who you are and be that well." On the back. Yes, but I
Jeff.
keep your challenge coin on me here. So.
Oh, Jeff.
That's awesome.
I mean it, bro.
Yeah, you're welcome.
And I love that. And one of the things I love about the Oblates is when they, I have taken hold and I will not let go.
Yeah.
Right?
Song of songs.
That's their,
That's our motto.
yeah, I have taken hold and I will not let go. Well, brother, thank you. I'm going to add this
Yeah.
to our collection.
Indeed.
I'll put it behind the 3-star general.
That's where Francis would want to be.
That's where you want. I know, because somebody said something about. Remember when we started calling Francis Assisi Diet Francis? Do you know this? And we were asked to stop.
We were asked to stop. Francis de Sales was named after Francis of Assisi, so in
Was
fairness-
he?
Yeah, he was.
Ugh. Oh, what was that? I'm so sorry. Isn't that terrible?
No.
That was a unconscious reaction inspired by my father and his bad attitude. Geoff, and if you want to help Geoff, help the people and you want to use PayPal, or if you just want to ask him questions.
Yeah, please do.
Rose at desales.org. Not
Actually, you
anymore.
can still use that one.
That one still works.
Rose@desales.org, but Rose at Oblates.us.
Rose at Oblates.us or desales.org.
Yeah, they both work.
I still write the DeSales one.
That's fine.
I don't know why. You haven't lived there in 20 years.
Yeah. Still works.
I think I covered it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, God love you.
And pray we can get him back on. He's a busy dude. Just know that I don't think I would still be a priest if it wasn't for Geoff. There were times where I felt so alone and so alien. And even, can I tell one more story? It's just, okay. I'm driving home. I don't know if you remember this. I was a high school chaplain, and I found out there were cheerleading competitions, and I was like, I don't know what that is, and it's freaking me out. But I love those girls, and they wanted me to go. So I went, and they are athletes.
Oh,
Holy
boy.
crap. But I was driving home, and it was an hour and a half drive. And again, I hope I don't freak anybody out, right? All of a sudden, I thought, I'm never going to have a daughter. And I knew I wasn't going to have a daughter. But I knew it that day. And I started to cry. And I pulled over the truck, and I felt all this guilt because I love being a priest, and all of this sorrow for what it means. And I was so ashamed of my sorrow. Am I making any sense? Yeah. He called. Boom, phone rings. It's Geoff. And cell phones were new.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. And we talked for I don't know how long, but I don't know if you remember what you told me. Well, the only way to love your priesthood is to mourn what you are sacrificing. Mm-hmm. This isn't a sin. This is good. And I'm going to cry with you. And that's what he said. And nothing on the phone for 15 minutes, just sitting together and him letting me cry. Do you remember this?
I do.
I can tell you where I was, bro. Big. And every once in a while, it'll hit me like a family thing. So I'll be like, they all have kids.
Yeah.
Right? When they're older, they're going to be fine.
Yeah.
And I'm like, so will I.
Yeah.
But I'm going to go ahead and cry for that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Praise God. So that's 500 of these stories. And hi to Aunt Deb. And I don't know if Mom's watching.
She was going to try.
Watching? Okay.
I told her, of course, she could watch it,
Okay. Well, we love you, Mary, and we miss you.
Yes.
Mary Doll.
Mary Doll. Mary Rose Doll?
Yes.
Oh, she's I'm serious. I love that chick.
And yesterday was my sister Karen's birthday, so
Happy
she's
birthday,
teaching.
Karen.
Teaches second graders. God love her. I don't know how you do that.
Oh, gosh. That's one thing we agree
Like
on.
herding kittens.
Yeah, we have no idea how to talk to... Do you remember
little ones.
Great Geoff story? Someone handed Geoff a baby. Do you remember
Was
this?
my first niece.
And Geoff was like, bring her back when she's 14.
Bring her back when she can talk.
That's it.
what I
Bring her
wanna
back
do.
when she can talk.
Okay.
He was like, they're not interesting until they can talk. Okay, salad pray. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. Jesus, and in the name of St. Francis de Sales, and inspired by his holy life and his great wisdom, we come to you today. I thank you for my beautiful brother. I thank you for his heart for the poor, for the vulnerable. I thank you, Jesus, that like you, he stands for those who have no one to stand for them. I thank you for his brotherhood to me and for how he has loved me and walked with me. I'm so grateful. And thank you for how much he loved Mom and she him. Please bless his ministry, Lord. Please bless your ministry through Geoff. And give him all he needs to do all you have called him to, and be with his mom and his sisters. Lord, you know all of the things that we worry about, the circumstances and situations, and you know those people we love so much, and we carry them around in our heart, and we worry about them. And we give all of them to you because we love you so much and we trust you deeply. And may the blessings of Almighty God be with you all, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. My blessing was better than his because I've been a priest for a lot longer. Thanks for tuning in.
It was seasoned.
I'm a grizzled veteran. Peace. Is it over?
No, it's never over.